We'll start with the basic introduction. So, hello everyone. Myself, Rahul Siddiqui. I'm a core technical member at Certis Coders, and I'm also a front-end developer. So, I've been involved with doing community work for quite some time now, and also I like to listen a lot of music in free time. So, that's about myself. Kevalya, can you give a nice introduction of yourself to everyone present here?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Kavalya Koparkar. You might be seeing me around the community and uh, open source organizations a lot. I am GitHub Campus expert. I am open source advocate. I'm a DevRel, and um, I work around open source communities and hackathons. I like to take participate in hackathons and uh, yeah, just go to sessions and help people out there.
Hey, that's great, and we we are very glad to have you for today's session because the topic is how to become a better open source contributor through Hacktoberfest. So that's amazing. It's amazing that we have someone who is very much experienced in this field. So we'll definitely learn a lot from you. So right before, let's start with the basic question that lots of folk have, and that is what exactly is Hacktoberfest. So I see a lot of beginner who are coming around, so they don't exactly know what Hacktoberfest, how Hacktoberfest actually works, and what is all about. So can you give a brief introduction of what Hacktoberfest is, and kind of like an overview of Hacktoberfest?
Sure. So, like, October is going on, and everyone just hears about Hacktoberfest if they are just kind of interested in open source or like contributing to open source in general. So, what Hacktoberfest is, it's like sponsored by Digital Ocean, obviously, and the main aim is to get uh, like get more people into open source. So open source, whenever people hear about open source, the misconception they have is it's for like very much veteran people in tech, and you should be very good at tech, and only then you can get involved with open source community. So that's the main reason they have started Hacktoberfest. That even if you are seasonal open source contributor, regular open source contributor, or a complete beginner, you can just get started with contributing to open source and win some swags like shirts, etc., shirt stickers, and some cool things through the Hacktoberfest. So it encourages you to contribute to open source more and more in the future. And the common aim is to get like a welcoming space for everyone to contribute to open source. Yeah.
Okay. So that was kind of a very nice introduction of what Hacktoberfest is. So basically, it's an event which happens in October, wherein you are welcome, even if you know kind of basics of anything. So you just need to know basic Git and GitHub and have an account, and you know any basic technology, be it web app, and you can get started, contribute to different projects, collaborate with different people, and engage with many communities. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole idea of Hacktoberfest. So since we now know what Hacktoberfest is, we will go to this question, which is how to contribute in Hacktoberfest. Now, all right, I know what Hacktoberfest is, but I want to get involved in Hacktoberfest. How can I get started? What should be the few steps that I should follow to get started with contribution in Hacktoberfest?
Okay. So, first, very first thing, you should be signed up on Hacktoberfest website. Obviously, you have to get yourself signed up through your GitHub account on Hacktoberfest so that your pull request can be seen there or any contribution can be seen there. The next thing is you have to go through rules and regulation. Many people forget about there are rules and regulation, and they just blindly follow many people and just end up creating spam. So you have to go through the rules and regulation code of conduct that has been mentioned on Hacktoberfest website. Even if you are maintainer, even if you are just an organization or a contributor, there are rules there available there. Then another next thing is then this should be actually the first thing, that you should have a GitHub account to actually get signed in. but yeah, you need a GitHub account. And then entire GitHub is yours. So you just have to go through repos and projects you feel like contributing to, and then just contribute to the repos. There are actually many repos for first timers in Hacktoberfest, so you can just get started with them. Or there are like a repos which has compilation of the repositories where there are really nice and welcoming good first issues, so you can find them and get started with them.
Yeah, amazing. So actually, you mentioned 2 points that we will be talking a lot about in a minute. So basically,
Yeah,
first the spammy repos. So many folks who are like very much beginner to this kind of stuff, they see the swag part and they're like, okay, I just need to submit four contribution, and then I'll get nice swag that they provide. So that's the thing that beginners should avoid, and instead go for something, even if it's a small project, try to make a legit pull request. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's
yeah,
talk about how can people contribute. So as in we have, so many people ask that I don't know coding, right?
yeah.
I have very less idea of coding, but I'm more into design. I know I can write blogs, etc. So how can I contribute then? Is there any way to contribute even if I don't know to code?
Yeah, actually, when we speak about open source, now that people generally think it's all about code,
Yes,
and
yes.
there is no scope for any other interest people to get involved with open source, which is completely wrong. Even if you don't have GitHub account, then too you can contribute to open source. Many people don't know that. So like you don't have to like have any account on GitHub for any time, and then also you can contribute to open source, and it is a legit way. So coming back to the Hacktoberfest and GitHub, so if you are a designer or if you are technical writer, or you just want to contribute without code, so there are many no code contribution opportunities there. So there are many opportunities available in projects where you can make a PR with designs. Then there are good projects does not necessarily have good documentation, which is really nice saying. So even if you go to any project right now, it might have in some grammatical mistake or something missing. So because developers build like the entire software, but they don't have the perspective to write really good documentation because they already know much about their own project, right? So getting the first like getting good a new pair of eyes really helps. So even if you are a beginner, if you even if you don't know anything, if you just go to their project, try out their project, and just give your opinions and views about the project, then too it's like considered as a contribution, because you are helping the maintainers understand the what the beginners think about our project. So that is a valid contribution to open source community. But yes, there are multiple ways to contribute even without code. Actually, there's a uh, talk at KubeCon. So it's freely available on YouTube. That low code contribution to CNCF. It's not only like fixed to CNCF, but you can take the tips from the talk. How what all ways are there to contribute to maybe, let's say, open source without even getting your hands into the code. So yeah.
Oh, okay, that was great, Zach. That was very information packed talk that you just gave right there. So you talked about KubeCon. Also have this amazing video that you guys can check out. It talks about how you can contribute even if you don't know coding. So coding is actually one part of an open source project, and open source not only work because of code. There are many things going around. So you have nice designs, you have documentation. As Keval talk about documentation, that is very important because many projects, even if they are very well made project, kind of have very poorly written documentation. So definitely, if you see something that you think that you can improve on, go ahead and make that issue, work on it. And also, he talked about uh, giving reviews. So that is very overlooked part of the open source. So when we talk about open source, many folks think that all right, it's open source. I just need to go and contribute, or maybe look around the issues. But we should actually use that product. So if you're using that product, you find something that it's missing, and you are telling that to the community, it's going to help them a lot. As in, the main idea of open source project is to help people, and so yeah, so you are fulfilling that. So definitely, that's a great way to contribute. And so basically, we covered two aspects of open source, which is contribution, and you can contribute in many ways. It could be code contribution and no code contribution. But now let's talk about the code contribution part. So if let's say people are coming and most of the people want to contribute code, so how can they go about it? So how can they like go and contribute their code if they want to? Is there any way that they should follow while looking around through the project or issues? What they can do?
Yeah, this is like really good point, and many beginners like don't actually follow a lot of things I'm going to mention. So first thing is like, say suppose you have got a project you want to contribute to, you are really willing to contribute to it. So the like first steps that I usually follow is I go to their uh, the contributing MD, which has like all the guidelines to how you should contribute to the project. It can change project to project, and maintain like organization to organization. There might be some steps they don't need while you contributing, but some projects might need every specific step for you to follow. So you should definitely look into that, else it's going to take a lot of your time to just figure out what went wrong. Another thing is you have to check their code of conduct. So there is code of conduct in while you are contributing to open source uh, project, and if it isn't there, then that's a contribution opportunity for you. You should definitely go ahead and make a PR for that. And while I'm saying PR, so many people just go and directly make a PR, and I really don't encourage that thing. I usually tell people that open the issue first, discuss your ideas, discuss your like approach to the problem or approach to what you are going to do through a issue. Talk with the maintainer, ask them for resources, and get like familiar with the maintainer through the issues, etc. And when the maintainer says, yeah, you can go ahead and create a PR, then you can go ahead and actually create a PR. And while you are doing that, there are communities and discussions set up for the uh, organization. So if you feel intimidated or not like getting response or help immediately, don't like freak out and just spam the maintainers teams, etc. Just don't continuously ping them in the chat the issue. You can join the communities where there are many maintainers are actively messaging, etc. And there are other community members who might have faced the same issue as you are facing. So if you join the community the project had set up a discussion, you might actually find someone who has gone through it and solved the issue, and your issue might get solved easier. Then that would be beneficial for you as well, because your problem has solved, and for maintainer as well, because you have actually like with you have solved your issue without waiting for them, and their work is also reduced. So definitely check out their community, join the communities, have conversation. And once the PR is done, then obviously there would be they would suggest you something, and if you are extremely lucky it will just go in one shot. So yeah, these are my steps. So join, take a look at contributing MD, code of conduct, join the community's open issue, and then raise a PR. So this is like a really good way to like get involved with a open source project, I should say. So it's not just about PR that that's add the contribution. It's all these steps that matter when you do the contribution to open source project.
That was actually very like nice way of thinking about or contributing, because most of the folks what they do when they are just uh, like starting out, so they like directly create a pull request. So even if there is an issue tab, which is very important while contributing, because there is anything that you need to like want to add, first of all, as Kevalya mentioned, you should definitely go and check out their contributing, and it has every information that you need to be aware of before uh, starting or contributing to that project. After that, go to issue, create a nice issue, and if try to have that communication, because many a time the issue that you think might be an issue is not even an issue. So this is also sometimes happen, and it could be clarified, and you don't have to like create an PR and work around it since it's cleared already in the issue. Also, he mentioned about joining the communities, which is very underrated. Most of the folks kind of avoid that, but definitely we should go and join this one. So it was kind of a very nice way of thinking about or taking open source, and also a very solid way of contributing, because if you are contributing in this way, it is very standardized way. You can follow these steps on pretty much any kind of project, and definitely the kind of contribution you'll give after that will be amazing. So, all right, I think we have covered the part of contribution. Now let's talk about things to consider while looking for projects to contribute. So let's say a very beginner person is here, and he came to know about Hacktoberfest and open source, etc. He knows what exactly Hacktoberfest is. So he want to contribute to a project. So what exactly they should look in a project before contribution? So how? So we have this nice setup. So what exactly we should look, or they should look before contribution in a project, basically.
Yeah. So like while starting off, I'm not sure like many people will mention it or like they come come with it. But if the project doesn't have a code of conduct, I don't recommend you to contribute to that project. It might sound weird, but actually, if the project doesn't have code of conduct, I don't feel like contributing to it, and I generally don't contribute to it. I suggest the code of conduct to the maintainers, and if they like get back to me negatively that we don't need it, then I generally just overlook the project. So you should definitely check that out, check if the project has licenses, etc. It's like not so much big deal, but I usually check all these things if they have code of conduct and everything like that. The next thing is don't run behind a bigger project. So when people get start with it, they only know like obviously we when we are beginners we only know like tech names, right? So if I am just starting, then I know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, just such names, right? So obviously when I go to GitHub or anything or open source, and when I hear that React.js has its open source project, so obviously I am aware about what React.js is. So obviously I will get attracted towards the project, and when I get to the project, I see so many overwhelming things are happening, and I get demotivated, and I end up contributing to actually nothing, right? So I recommend people to search for the projects which are like kind of uh, built with communities. So I generally check if they have community, etc. So then I can make good network with people as well. Then I can join the community, speak there, and make a good network around around the project. So like it's optional, but I keep that as a preference for myself, right? So just see small project, even if it's your friend's project. If you are getting started with open source, even if your friend has his website, his her website, or even if even if this in this panel, if you go on anyone's profile and if they have any small project, and if you have a knowledge about, or if you feel anything contributing, actually you can get started with contributing. And actually GitHub has introduced a really nice like feature which has like customized readme for your profile, right? So I have a customized readme. I guess Dheeraj has a customized readme, and everyone here might also have a customized readme. So you can actually get started by contributing to someone's readme, right? So there actually the person's readme file get really nice, and you get contribution. So if you are getting started with these, so try to find such small opportunities for getting your contribution and building the confidence that yes, I am able to follow like these steps and get my contribution to get through PRs, and then actually you can move to uh, the bigger projects if you need. Because when I contributed, I obviously tried to contribute to Google's project, Facebook's project, etc., right? So as a beginner, when I started, it was not as simple as just creating a PR and then your checks pass and then your reviews, and just you have to sign so many like the undertakings and etc., which come with it, and then after the undertakings are approved, etc. So it's like a very lengthy and different process to contribute to those projects. So if you're a beginner and the first experience you get is this much complications, then obviously your motivation will go down. So first you can just start by searching small projects, because everyone, my high school and my diploma projects, final year and small projects are everything is on GitHub. My actually practicals are also on GitHub, right? So if you find any such projects you want to contribute to, not necessarily it should have Hacktoberfest tag, etc. Obviously it would help you in the Hacktoberfest, but as an open source contributor there are millions of such repositories there, such tools are there which are used by such big projects in them, but they don't have like such good contributor like retention, maybe I should say, or contributors to their project. So you can actually find such tools and projects which are being implemented in such great projects and organizations, and actually you can contribute to them. So eventually, in a sense, you are get contributing to ultimately contributing to the big your dream project you want to contribute to. So that's how I see the how beginners should step into open source and start contributing via code, because we are talking about it.
Yeah, that was actually a very important and great point to mention that. So when I also started out, since I was using React, I was like, okay, there has to be some React repo. Let's go there and make some contribution. But obviously, it was very overwhelming, and so many repos they have, so many things they have. So it was kind of very overwhelming. But as I went on and created my own project and get involved with my friend project, as you mentioned, created README, etc. So it's like taking baby steps at first, understanding the workflow of a project, and then working around it. And eventually, as you get more and more comfortable with the whole setup of GitHub and your tech stack, you can definitely go out and contribute to amazing projects, as Kevalya mentioned. That was a very good point. So start out with your friend's project, and also if you have your own project, please put it on GitHub, deploy it, share that link with different people so that different people are say if they are seeing your project, they can like create issues, they can improve that. And that's how we network. Also, you mentioned a very interesting point about networking. So uh, in open source, we have to like collaborate. So the whole idea is to collaborate with different people. That's how open source works. And when you are contributing, you have to understand the different. Many people are writing code here. You have to understand different people code. So that is a very important point of creating networks while contributing. So yeah, that's epic. Now let's go to the next part. What are few of the do's and don'ts of contributing to open source? So obviously, what I think one of the biggest don'ts of contributing to open source, and I'll be talking in terms of Hacktoberfest, is the spammy kind of repos that many folks have. So it's basically something that a repo will have uh, something called as put your algorithm here, and we will merge it and you'll get points of Oktoberfest. So what do you think that some of do's and don'ts of contributing to open source are there?
Okay, so you mentioned one of the don'ts, which is like absolutely correct. But the biggest don't in open source, according to me, is
Mhm.
not getting started with it and feeling overwhelmed beforehand. You should at least give it a try, right? So many people just get overwhelmed and end up doing nothing. So biggest don't is don't get overwhelmed by the projects. There are people who want to help you throughout your journey and throughout your contribution. There are people. So don't feel overwhelmed or don't feel like you are not welcomed, etc. Be just get your first step there. So that is a do. So get your first step, and other things like uh, contribute, try to add value. Doesn't mean code, right? So value means anything which adds something to the project, which helps someone or the project there. So maybe I don't want to contribute code or anything, no PR, but there is a discussion going on, and someone is having issue loading their someone has an issue with their the JSON file, package.json file. If anyone here, like, no, I'm aware, like, I assume many people know here JavaScript, and if you don't, it's like just a package file that comes with npm. So if say suppose someone has a problem with it, and I know JavaScript very well, so I will help them with their package JSON file. I don't have to do anything with the project. I don't have to do anything with my PR, etc. contribution to that project. But because I know JavaScript and the person has the problem with JavaScript in the discussions or in the community of the project, I will help the person, and that's how I am contributing to that project, because I am adding value to the project by helping someone or helping the contributor. So that's also a valid contribution, and many people, it's like underrated contribution. I would say that many people don't think it as a contribution to open source, but it is a contribution to open source. You are adding a value to the contributors of the that project, so I consider it as a contribution. So do's is like try to add value. Don't think, you should not think any of your contribution is small. Many people just say put it on the social that it was just a small contribution. No contribution is small, it's just a contribution. Contribution is a contribution. There is no small contribution, there is no big contribution. The it Everything matters on the value, the amount of value you provide to the project, and how like how good you are linked with the project. Say, it's not like you create one PR for Hacktoberfest or four PRs for Hacktoberfest on the same project and just disappear the next time. So the biggest don't is don't like literally disappear on a project. And if you have literally like if you have interest in contributing, keep on contributing to the project, keep on helping in the project. And Sam, I'm not saying that just if you have started with a project, just stick with it with your lifetime. If you feel something another is coming, then go there, but don't just contribute keeping in mind that you are going to get some swag out of it or something out of it. Contribute because you want to contribute, not because you are getting something out of it. So you should not be thinking what I will be getting, or uh, will I get some money, or will I get some swag, or will I get some recognition or something, will I get a job through contributing to it. It's a wrong approach to contribute to open source. You should not think you should be only willing that I want to contribute to it, I want to add value to this project, so that's why I'm contributing to it. So that's what my do's and don'ts are there. I didn't split it, but I'm sure that many people were able to distinguish between the do's and don'ts.
Yeah, definitely. It was very clear that what were do's and don'ts, obviously, and it was amazing also that so many things are that obviously that one point that you mentioned that people are not getting started is one of the biggest don'ts, and Oktoberfest actually give that kind of environment for beginners to get started, and it's an very amazing opportunity to get started. But again, as you say, that many people ghost the whole GitHub thing after like October or after merging their protocols. But obviously, we should actually continue and try to engage, and also we should not contribute just for the sake of contribution. That is also very important. So I think we have covered most of the part of open source and under open source at Oktoberfest. So I would like to just basically summarize the thing that we discussed. So basically, we talked about Oktoberfest and uh, open source and what are the ways to contribute in open source. So it could be code. You can contribute code. You cannot contribute code. You just have to get involved, add value, which is very underrated but very important point. Get uh, if go through the project and read their contributing MD code of conduct. Uh, Talk with the community. If that project has a nice community, you should go and talk with them, have nice idea of how exactly project work. If someone is having some issue, help them if you can. So these were few of the points that we have mentioned. If I think I have covered all the parts. Okay. So yes, if do we have any questions? So we can take few questions, and then we can wrap this up because it's almost yeah, it's 8:30. So if anyone has any question, you guys can go ahead. Uh, I think okay, I'll wait for 5 seconds. Cool. I think most of the doubts are cleared. So yeah, it was amazing talking to you, Kevalya. I hope you also enjoyed it, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was like really great, and I hope the recording comes out and it will be able to reach many people, because like the points I mentioned are not generally mentioned in most of the talks, because they usually try to like they have their own way of like telling about open source. I usually try to keep it more honest and like clear to people that these all things and these are the bounds of open source, etc. So thank you so much for having me and letting me express all these thoughts. And anyone listening here, you can actually follow me like on Twitter if you want, and because I keep on posting about opportunities and about open source a lot. And you can check out all my other socials, my GitHub projects. And if you want, you can contribute to them. I will be always there, and you can find me around in the community. We might share. So yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for listening me for this half an hour.
Amazing, amazing. It was great. I hope everyone present here had a great time and they actually learned because these are very, even though kind of intuitive points, but actually useful. So, in a long run, these are very useful points. So, yeah, it was great.
Okay, well, I guess right now I'm just gonna have to barge in. I guess I have to say something. So before we end this, I would like to say that our community is coming out with an open source program in the beginning of next year. It's gonna be like about 3 weeks to 1 month long, where passionate beginners who are interested in open source join in. There's going to be proper repositories for those beginners where contributors will contribute to, and there'll be mentors for these contributors who will get, who will just guide the people, the contributors, to get started with open source, and they'll be there for the whole journey of the program. So yeah, obviously there's going to be things like rewards, and there's going to be obviously a lot of learning in this program. So I guess that's all I can actually say about this. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. I guess in the beginning of next year. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Little bit of self promotion. Oh wait, 1 second. So Dheeraj is requesting to speak. Yeah, I have given permission. Well, he's having connection issues, I think. Oh well. I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm pretty sure that's enough. Let's see. We'll wait for a little bit. Okay, he's requested again. Accepted. Okay. Hey.
I'm just outside, so ignore the mic sound if it's coming. Thank you, Kevalia, for joining. Thank you, Rahel. Thank you, Tejas. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, yeah, thanks. Thanks everyone. It was really nice having you guys here. Okay, so since I think we're completely done, I will end the space here. Thanks everyone again.